Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and tonight we have a very special guest. This basketball head is an all-city James Madison High School legend who was a walking bucket. Word on the street is females are so scared to play against her in Madison High School because she had a knack for scoring the rock at will. When she got to Morgan State, the scoring increased, and she became the all-time leading scorer for both boys and girls at Morgan State University, racking up 2,053 points to become a Hall of Fame inductee. After college, she played overseas in Puerto Rico, Portugal, Chile, Switzerland, Poland, Romania, and Greece. So, she's definitely a globetrotter in so many ways. After playing ball professionally, she became the sixth female in history to coach NCAA Division I men's basketball. That's making New York City proud, y'all. To top it all off, she's a businesswoman and an author. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show, James Madison High School legend, Morgan State University Hall of Fame inductee, and now assistant coach at Loyola University Maryland, Coach Corin Tiny Adams.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hello. Hey. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Did you check out the intro? Did you get a chance to listen to the intro?
Yeah. I like the intro. I listened to it. I think the movie portion of your intro was dope too. So I'm definitely happy to be here. And shout out to you for putting this all together. I think you're doing an amazing job. So yeah, I definitely like the intro for sure.
Thank you. I had to get it right, because listen, I've heard so many things about you, read up on you, knew about you and what you was doing when you was younger. And I just want to say I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
No. You make New York City proud. So when we hear, women or men, especially you, making groundbreaking moves in basketball, it just makes all of us proud.
Appreciate that. That means a lot. Definitely means a lot.
Definitely. So I just want to jump right into this and ask you, who introduced you to the game?
I would have to say my grandma. So,
nice.
Starting out cookouts and all holiday engagements at her place. She had a hoop in the backyard, and a few of my cousins lived with her at the time. So every time we had a family engagement, we'd be back there, and I just kind of saw her. She had the meanest hook shot, and she hit one around. I was probably like 7 years old, and she hit that hook shot, and everybody went wild, and then I just kind of fell in love with the game from there.
Yeah, I heard it in that little video piece that you had, but that's always the first question of the night. So definitely, man, and salute to grandma, man. Salute.
For sure. Yesterday was actually her birthday, so she just turned 83.
Happy birthday, Grandma. Happy birthday.
So shout out to her. I definitely sent her this link so she can get her shout out and definitely enjoy, hearing me shout her out online.
Nah, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. you know, just to go back a little bit, my cousin Cortez Jackson played for Madison High School in the early 70s, and he was the one who kind of inspired me to play, even though I never saw him play. It was his trophies. The fact that he had all these trophies, and they used to always shine when I went over to my aunt's house, and I said, I want those. I didn't know the basketball. I wasn't even watching basketball back then, but being a little kid and seeing he had all those awards, and knowing he went to James Madison, and not knowing they would be in my conference later on once I got to Lincoln. So.
Okay, so you went to Lincoln. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
a Lincoln guy. Yes.
See, for me, it's funny because like my whole career, I was kind of ignorant to how everything worked. So I literally like picked my high schools randomly, just circling different schools in different boroughs,
Right.
and then putting it down. And then me and my mom just decided I'll go to the best academic school, which was Madison. I was not thinking about a basketball school or what my career would be. It was just kind of like random. And, fortunately for me, it worked out. They always say everything happens for a reason. So I think it was a reason that I ended up at Madison. And, that's where I got my nickname. That's where my career started. That's where I really took the game to another level. So I'm definitely happy to, be an alum of that school and just to also see, they've been doing pretty well. I know a few years ago they won the B division and all that good stuff.
Yep.
So, for me, it's a pleasure to be a Lady Knight. We don't have as rich of a history as Lincoln, but I think we produce some pretty good athletes, both in basketball and across the sport. So,
well, as we always say, books before ball. So,
for sure.
Definitely it was the right move for you. And you got to create your own lane. Like a lot of people like to play with the best players while you was kicking the best players' butt. So, and became one of the best. You know what I mean? So, right off the jump, man. So that's dope. So, where in Brooklyn are you exactly from?
So I'm from Flatbush. I grew up on Lennox and Rogers. Around my junior year at Morgan, my mom wanted to get a house, but the houses in Brooklyn were a little bit more expensive. Then she thought about a condo, and then she kind of just moved to Staten Island and got something affordable. So I grew up on Lennox and Rogers, and then around my junior year at Morgan, which was probably like 2009, we relocated to Staten Island.
Salute. I'm always out in Staten Island showing Staten Island some love. Right.
It's the furthest thing from everything. So for me, it hurt my social life, but in regards to safety and affordability and being more convenient for her, it kind of worked out. So I'm not mad at it.
Nah, definitely. When was it? When you started taking the game serious? Like when did the bug start to kick in? I know Grandma had the hook shots and all that, but when did it start to get serious for you?
That was 7, and then after that, I kind of locked in with my cousins and my older brother. And then I would say around 3rd grade. So 3rd grade, how old are you? Probably
8 years old.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
So, after 2 years of messing around, we had this program called JRC. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we had the Jackie Robinson program, which was 2 days a week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we had the Jackie Robinson program at PS 92, 2 days a week. And they will couple it with an education portion. So you can do art in the sport, you can do math in the sport. And originally, basketball was full, but I was able to kind of get my way and work my way into it. But the first session I did tennis, I didn't really like it too much. And then once I got locked into basketball, that was it. I mean, no matter if it was full or not, they were going to have me in basketball, the years to come. So 3rd grade, I started to play with the Jackie Robinson team. And then those same guys, we will always just be in the park. So we would be in the back of the park at, PS 92. We would go to Caton Park. We would go to Wingate Park. We would just hoop all day, every day, before school, after school. Because like I said, Jackie Robinson was only Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the rest of the 5 days of the week, we're at the park just hooping, trying to get better. And, that's when I started to take it seriously. In regards to like playing in tournaments and stuff, I think I joined FYA in 8th grade.
Damn, you beat me
with
to
my
the
man
punch.
Screen.
You beat me to the punch. I was soon you start talking about 92. I had to bring up the legendary Coach Green because that's his domain.
Guy. Yeah, that's my guy. So I went over to PS6 over by Erasmus, and started to understand a little bit more of what organized basketball was. For me, it took a little bit of an adjustment period because, most players play different than, in the organized setting than they do in a park. So, playing with Screen, he had us playing all over the place, and I was playing with the boys at the time. And for me, that was my first real, like, what we playing in, what was the name of that tournament? Pro Style or something like that. It was somewhere uptown. We played in that. We played in some local stuff in Brooklyn. We played in Broward Park, and that was like my first introduction to organized basketball. Being the only girl didn't really matter to me at that time. I just wanted to play with, like I said, those were the guys that I was in the parks with. And then maybe that following summer, I got into one of the teams at St. John's Rec. So me and my mom, we used to go to St. John's Rec, and then every Tuesday they would have ladies' night, which was when a lot of the pros, the college girls, the rec girls, they would all come and play every Tuesday, 6 to 9. So my mother used to take me. She'll work out, I'll watch, because they also had other little events within the rec where it would just be strictly ladies' night. So from 6 to 9, there's nobody else in the building besides women, and they're doing, they doing the yoga class, they doing all that other stuff, and then they had all of the girls hooping in the gym. And then Coach Lloyd and Coach Muntz, they picked me up for a couple of the women's tournaments they were in. And then after that, it was a wrap. So, after my 9th grade year, I started playing a lot of tournaments. And as you mentioned, my motivation was strictly trophies. And, some tournaments gave you the shirts, some tournaments gave you the shorts as well.
Right.
My motivation was just getting some shorts and trophies, especially when they started giving out the 6-footers, and when you walk home with them joints, everybody want to ask questions.
right.
Like, oh, where you get that from? So for me, that was my motivation. Like, unfortunately, I didn't know anything about AAU. All I knew was the park, the tournaments, and the trophies.
Well, first of all, I want to stop you right there. Those people that's on Instagram, come over to YouTube. You know how it's going down for me right now. All right. Don't want to make excuses. I'll tell you about my Instagram experience later. But I did 200 and something shows on Instagram, and they started slowing my shows down. So I said, you know what? I'm going directly to the source. So that's where we at tonight. But the coaches that you spoke about, those were the grassroots coaches that taught some of the most legendary basketball players from Brooklyn how to play, and especially using the fundamentals of getting us ready for that next level. They didn't have a whole bunch of money. They didn't have sneaker contracts. Okay, they weren't handlers. They were like our second parents who were into sports, and they took care of us. So salute to all of those coaches, Coach Lloyd, Coach Green, and the rest of those coaches out there that took care of us and did it in the right way.
Definitely, yeah, they looked at a lot. I mean, because you think about it, it's like, we didn't pay any entry fees. We didn't pay ref fees. They fed us. With Munch, his daughter played on the team, so I would spend the night at his house on the weekend.
Too. That's right.
Yeah. So like, it was just family atmosphere. Somebody my mom could trust, whether she was working or whatever the case may be. Like they really took care of us, and like you said, like they taught us, from biddies to midgets and all of that. They really taught the fundamentals, and they would let you play and get up and down, but. It's a little bit different now when it comes to that AAU and how everything works. Overseas, that's kind of how they do it. Like, they start you young and you grow with the program and you play with the program from 12, 14, 16, pro and up. But now you see guys jumping all over the place. You see girls going other places. Like you said, it's like, it's almost too strategic now. Like, once everybody figured out the blueprint, back when I was playing, it was Bertram. If you want to win a championship, go to Bertram.
That's
but
it.
It's like, all 13 of us can't play and go to Bertram at the same time. And then it was like, all right, well, we're going to go to Christ the King. So, I think for me, it worked out that I was kind of ignorant to how the basketball world worked. Of course, I would have probably did a few things differently, but I think, my upbringing and how I grew in the game and my experiences are kind of what made me who I am today. I may have had maybe a few better opportunities, but as I mentioned before, I feel like, everything happens for a reason. There's a reason that I went to Madison. There's a reason I went to Morgan, and there's a reason why I'm in the position I'm in now. So
you are making history. See, that's the difference, right? I went to Lincoln to play football.
Right.
Straight up and down. I went to play football. Didn't know too much about the basketball team. I just knew they had a lot of good sports teams, and I wound up going out for the team because I didn't want to take that long ride home by myself. And my friends went out for the team. They got cut. I made it. Don't ask me how, but again, the Most High has the path that he want us on, or she want us on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out for you. You can talk about all those girls who went to those schools. Very few of them got to make history.
Right, for sure. And it's crazy because like this past weekend, I was actually honored as a Hall of Famer for Rose Classic. And I'll be honest, I almost kind of put this out there yesterday. Like when they did the first round of Hall of Famers for Rose Classic, like I was a little salty I wasn't on that list. You know what I'm saying? But coming up, like I said, I didn't play at AAU. So a lot of the people who did the rankings and the people who gave out the accolades, they didn't know who I was. Right. Unless you was in the parks, unless you was in Wingate, you wouldn't know who I was until I got to Morgan and I started to do my thing. So, initially it stung a little bit, but, I'm grateful for every opportunity and accolade I received. End of the day, like you said, I made history at every stop because a lot of the things I've done haven't been done before. And, like I said, if I would have maybe knew about everything, I probably would have been just in the crowd of people, and as opposed to, kind of standing alone and doing some of the things I did. So I'm definitely appreciative of the experiences. But yeah, I mean, it's been a long run. I consider myself an old head, but I'm still young. But there's a lot more. There's a lot more that I'm looking to achieve, but end of the day, nothing would happen if I didn't have the mentality to want to be great and want to achieve things and just want to work hard and not really take no for an answer or give up. Those are things that I kind of tribute to Brooklyn. Playing in the parks all day, being in that environment. Those are some of the things that are kind of embodied into, who I am as a person and, my work ethic and, just my, will to not quit.
Well, right now, I want to give my guy, consider him a friend. We came up since young playing against each other, and I watched him help thousands of kids from Brooklyn and around the New York City area. And that's my guy, Antoine Merichon. So, Antoine, man, you deserve your flowers for all the things you've done for the community and what you're still doing. We've been playing against each other since we were like 16, 17 years old, all the way into Pro-Am. And I just watched him develop into like one of the finest men in our community to help serve kids. And salute to you, brother.
For sure. Ant is just somebody that, you can always be, grateful for. I feel like when he took the Rose Classic and made it what it was, it gave a lot of females and girls an opportunity that they may not have had just because of the lack of exposure that, women's basketball has. So, definitely big shout out to Ant, big shout out to Rose Classic, shout out to Conrad McCray, shout out to Dean Street, shout out to Silk. I mean, it is just amazing to see when you're really invested in women, what the outcome can be. So, definitely want to give a shout out to Anton.
Yeah. Salute Antoine, Conrad, all of those guys, man. Rest in peace, Conrad. Mm-hmm. When you was coming up, who was the best player in the neighborhood? Who was the person that everyone was striving to be like?
See, when I started hooping at the time, we had Dunker's Delight. So we had Dunker's Delight in Wingate, Dunks at 3 points. That young gunner squad, they were all from the next block up on Lenox. So I grew up on Lenox and Rogers. They were like Lenox and Nostrand, Lenox in New York. That whole young gun squad, I think a lot of us looked up to. I think.
Who was the guy though? Like, who was the guy?
I'm trying to think names. Like, it's hard for me to think about the name right now. So there was one girl, who ran my park. Her name was Tamika, and she only played like once or twice a week when she felt like it, because she was running with the guys doing some things she probably shouldn't have been doing. But she was like 2 or 3 years older than me. she was the reason I wanted to go to MS2 until I found out that I couldn't play on the boys team. I had to play on the girls team. So Tamika ran our park, and the thing about it was like nobody really knew about her because she didn't play at high school. She didn't go to college, anything like that. But of course, you know, we had a lot of the N1 characters. For me personally, I really looked up the AI, but I'm trying to think of like the name because, like I said, I wasn't aware of the basketball world until later on
Got
when
you,
I
got
started
you,
playing
got
in
you.
tournaments and stuff. So once I started playing tournaments, then you know, of course, Piff was the one who was the killer. You know, we had Tina Charles. Since I was at Madison, you had Melanie Murphy, who was at Midwood. On the men's side, of course, you had Bashy. You know, I think he's probably 1 year older than me. So you had Bashy at Lincoln. Um, who else you had? You had G Herb. You know what I'm saying? So it was like,
It's a bunch of killers on both
yeah. But
sides.
I wasn't really aware of them. Like, you know, once I got to St. John's Rec, then I started playing in the West Fourths and the Rutgers and stuff like that. Then it's like, wow, it's really other girls out here. That's nice. And it's a whole team of them. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was kind of eye opening, but I think for us, it was whoever ran the park that we were at. So whoever ran Wingate, whoever ran PS 92 Park, like those were the guys you wanted to be like. But they weren't known on a high school level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were just the hood legends, you know what I mean? So but I would say Piff, I would say Sebastian, of course. Um yeah, that's really the only ones that really come to mind that
Yeah,
people were really
but that
going
makes
crazy
sense.
to.
That makes
And then,
sense.
you know, of course, like Steph, you know, like
Right.
because he made it, but like it was really whoever killed the park. Like my age group at that time from 9 to 12, like when I was really in the park like that, like we had a couple guys, but they ain't playing nowhere. They went to MS2 or they was at the Jackie Robinson program and stuff like that. So it was really just local. And then, you know, once I got older and I got to Morgan, then it was getting a little bit more crazy where it was like Corey Fisher, Malcolm Grant, Lance,
Well,
Jamal Nixon.
we
You
gonna
know what I mean?
definitely
So
get there. We gonna
yeah,
definitely
so
get there.
once I started to get aware of it, because you know it wasn't on social media back then. So it's
None.
like unless you were at Broward Park, unless you were at Dunks Delight, CNC Showcase, like you know, anything at the rec, IS8, then you wouldn't know. And in the beginning, I wasn't around. Like the tournament screen took us to, they weren't as, you know, high level to kind of, you know, recognize those guys. And then when I did see them, I ain't know them until later down the line. So you know, I think it just comes with being around the game. Like even when they were at the St. John's Rec, like we had Ty. I can't tell you his last name, but Ty was the one who ran the rec. We had Justin Credible that ran the rec. Malcolm Grant would come to the rec. Who else we had? Ty Sean. Like we had people that, like I said, they were the ones to dominate. Like at the end of the day, when you picking teams, those usually your first picks. But you know, aside from Malcolm and a few others, the rest were just like hood legends.
Yeah, it was something about y'all girls who played with us. You know, when I was coming up, Ruth Lovelace used to play with us, right? So Ruth used to play with us, and then we used to wonder why she be in the paper scoring 38, 40, and all these,
Way
you know, kind
easier.
of numbers, because once y'all started to transfer over to girls, things, you know, were kind of easy for you guys and girls. But we didn't have social media, but your name ran through the streets crazy. People knew who you were. People knew who Tiny was. And the girls, they didn't want to play against you. Like I heard from, I'm not going to name any names, but there was people who said like, nah, we didn't want to play against her because a lot of us couldn't guard her.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Nah, I mean, for me, I think that was very instrumental in my success playing with the guys because, like I said, at the end of the day, we all were battling to be the best in the park. Like we wanted to be the first pick. We wanted to win all of the games. Like sometimes we would bet zebra cakes or quarter juice. Like whoever lose got to buy the other team. So it was like playing with the guys where they were way more physical because they didn't care. Like they gonna push me into the gate. You know what I'm saying? They gonna foul me when it's point game. You know, they're faster, more athletic, so I got to get my shot up quicker. You know, I might have to do a double pump or a couple pump fakes. I might got a hezzy a little bit. So, you know, playing with them, and then now you go play against, you know, other females who aren't as athletic. The game was kind of, you know, a little bit easier in a sense. But when you start to play against the Exoduses and the Gauchos and the New Heights and all of that, then it's like, oh, like this is what the bump is like. Like this is good. This is good run. So, you know, it's similar to the guys. You know, you have a few girls who are super athletic that are, you know, blocking your shot and making you really work for yours. But, you know, having that, I guess that, you know, introduction to playing against the guys at the early stages of my career, it taught me a lot. You know, for me, I think the more you play, the better your IQ gets. So, you know, when you cross over and you go by somebody, they're going to try to back tip you if you're at the park. You know, you go for a layup, they don't care what's going on. They trying to block you. So you might have to double pump, do a scoop. You might have to figure it out. You know, point game, like it's going to be physical. And you can't call a weak foul. So they're going to foul you hard, or it's just not going to be a game, or you got to shoot for it. So you better be able to shoot from the top of the key consistently. So I just think, you know, playing with the guys adds a different level to your game. And then it translates over to when you do play against girls. And, you know, like I said, at the same time, there's going to be elite competition on the girls' side. But when you've been kind of training your body to perform against bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, you know, opponents, when you get people your size or smaller, it should be easier.
Yeah, that's how it usually works out.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's how it usually works out. So when you got to Madison, did you jump right in on varsity, or did you play JV first and then climb your way up? How was that experience when you first got there?
So the tryouts was actually how I got the name Tiny. So basically, when I got to high school, I realized there's a girls team and there's a boys team, right? So it's like, all right, well, obviously I can't play with the boys team. My chemistry teacher, Bill Dumont, that's my man, 100 grand. He was newly appointed the girls varsity coach. Before that, he was only softball and a chemistry teacher. So that summer, I had played against one of the stars of the team. Her name is Fran. And when I seen her, probably like the third day of school, she was like, "Oh snap! You didn't tell me you were coming here." I'm like, to be honest, I didn't know I was coming here. But I'm like, "Yo, like, make sure you talk to the coach. Like, I want to play on the team." And she's like, "You know what? I got you. Like, don't worry about it." So at this time, I'm probably 4'10", 4'11" on a good day. All he knows me as is Corin Adams, the quiet little girl in my class. So that year was the first year they were actually going to have JV. So his idea was to have both tryouts together, whoever he didn't like, and that were, you know, sophomores and freshmen, he would slide to JV. So we get to the tryout. It's upstairs. We got 2 gyms upstairs. And, you know, we do the stretching and we do the little drills and stuff. And then he just kind of throws me on the side because in his mind, it's like, she's so small. There's no way she's going to be on varsity. So at this point, I'm looking at Fran like, yo, like, what's up? Like, I thought you told me you spoke to him or whatever. So they're playing and I'm getting heated because, like, these girls aren't good at all. Like, there's a few of them that are okay, but in regards to everybody that's new, that's not already on the team, like, I already knew I was better than them. So a part of me wanted to leave, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to wait it out. I'm like, worst case, I just play JV. I didn't even know what the difference was at the time. So I'm sitting there, and it's probably like 15 minutes left to the tryout. And his assistant coach comes over like, yo, you never let her play. So I see the exchange happening. So I'm boiling, like I'm getting loose. So he puts me on the court. He put me on the court, I go crazy. It just so happened he put me on the same team with the girl Fran. So I'm throwing her great passes. She's throwing me stuff. I'm going crazy. He stops the tryout, like blows the whistle, calls me over, and he's like, I didn't know you can do all that. I'm like, you never gave me a chance. So he told everybody in the gym, he like, look, if you're a returner, go in the other gym. If you trying out today, tryouts are over. We'll be in touch. If you don't make the varsity team and you're a freshman or sophomore, we'll give you another tryout for JV. He's like, you go in the other gym. So we go in the other gym and it's like a circle or whatever. It's us, the assistant coach, him, and the returners. And he's just looking at me, shaking his head, and he's like, how did you do all that? Like, I don't get it. Like, you're just so tiny. Like, and he just kept saying it, like, you know, you're just so tiny, just so tiny. And then he's like, yo, look, he told the returners while I was standing, he like, look, I don't know who we gonna pick from that other gym, but Tiny's on the team. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, that's your name from now on. You Tiny. And I'm like, all right, bet. Well, I also need help with this chemistry because this chemistry is killing me too. He like, no problem. Like, I got you. And then like from that day on, like that's been my guy, like my guy of all guys. And that name stuck since then. Like nobody ever calls me Corin. Everybody knows me as Tiny. And you know, from then on, you know, we did some pretty good things at Madison. You know, he resigned my junior year. He had some stuff he had to handle, and he couldn't do both softball and basketball. But he made the promise. He like, look, no matter what, like your jersey's gonna be retired because of the things you've done here. He's like, you know, I need you to, you know, be a leader when we bring in this new coach and all that good stuff. And like, he's been my guy ever since. Like, he's the AD now. I think he's still coaching softball or just, you know, teaching chemistry right now. But like, he was the one to give me the name. Like, he taught me a lot about the game. It taught me a lot about discipline and just really, you know, being a team player and not being afraid of the moment. So like, you know, shout out to Bill Dumont. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Mr. Maher. Mr. Maher was the one that was like, yo, you ain't give her a chance. Like, I don't know. If he didn't say nothing, I might have been on JV for a little bit or maybe a week or two.
Right.
But nah, like, you know, that was really how it happened. And then we were always very competitive because we had a good core. We had a good core group. Like my freshman year, we had a good strong 6 or 7, and then every year after, but we would just always lose in the second round of the playoffs. So we would go play like the poly preps and go to different tournaments and win and stuff like that. But you know, as I mentioned, Millwood was a rival, Lincoln was a rival, you know, Sheepshead, those type of schools. We always kind of held our own and were at the top of the league with like, you know, top 3, top 4, but we couldn't get out that second round. But like we did well borough playoffs and we pulled some upsets, but we just couldn't do it. Like, you know, we were this close from beating Francis Lewis. You know, Francis Lewis was going to the Garden every year with Bertram.
Every year, yep.
So, you know, and like I said, for me, I didn't know any better, you know. So, you know, sophomore and junior year, now it's starting to click because these are the girls that I'm playing against that play for these teams, not knowing that when they play in West Fourth and Rucker and what's the one uptown?
Dykeman.
Slam Jam.
Okay.
Dykeman.
Yes.
They're preparing for their AAU season. I didn't know anything about AAU. So for me, that's all I knew. So now when I'm seeing them at different schools together, they had St. Michael's, they had Francis Lewis, Millwood. You know, Sheepshead had a good little squad. You know, most of the Gazelles were from Queens, so they were going to Cardozo and stuff like that. Like, it didn't register until it was kind of too late. But, you know, being able to, like you said, you know, create my own path. You know, I did a lot of things at Madison that hadn't been done. And, you know, like I said, fortunately for me, I was able to get my jersey retired and, you know, build a legacy at that school.
And your name's still ringing bells to this day. All right.
For sure.
You got Hall of Fame, legendary point guard for DeWitt Clinton, Nate Tiny Archibald. Then you got my teammate, point guard and legendary coach from Abraham Lincoln, Dwayne Tiny Morton, and Corin Tiny Adams. Those 3 right there, right? You know how they say the good things come in 3.
Right.
So you definitely, and all 3 of you paved your own way. Right?
Yeah.
Never count nobody
out. It worked out. It definitely worked out. I mean,
that's right.
It's a, you know, and it's a fitting name. I mean, I'm 5'5". I was probably 4 feet 11 when I got the name. So it works. I think like you said, it rings bells, but it's also a brand for me. It's also, you know, I just take being a good person seriously. So when people hear the name Tiny, I wanted to always be associated with, you know, something positive, whether it's, you know, motivation, inspiration, or just, you know, somebody that people can turn to for help or whatever the case may be. So, you know, my name is something that I take very seriously.
Nah, for real. Definitely. Who was your toughest competition in high school? Like, who was the girl that, you know, you knew you had to see her either during the season or summer league play? Who was that person that, you know,
I
you
would
guys
say
went at it?
definitely Piff. Me and Melanie Murphy had some battles. Like I said, we were kind of rivals at Madison and Millwood. I would say probably Marissa Flagg, Tima Hill from the Gazelles. When we got the Slam Jam, it was like Speedy Claxton's daughter, Lisa. Who else? I think when I really got serious about it, it was more the old heads.
Okay.
So like the, the Renee Taylors and the Nikki
Who I had on the
Averys
show.
and the
Yes,
Carmen
yes,
Guzmans,
yes.
Stas, because like I said, like I will go to ladies' night because now it's like, all right, I'm a little bit older, so I want to play with the older heads who playing overseas, playing in college and all that good stuff. So those were the ones that I really like tried my hardest to beat, took pride every time I played with or against them because you always want to impress the OG. So it's like it took a while for them to let me play with them. And when I did, I didn't want them to feel like I was messing up the run or, you know what I'm saying? So in the beginning, it was like, they kind of coach you through things in their own way, whether they screaming at you or they pushing you or they telling you like, yo, like, play better, play smarter, play faster. Like, I don't need all that dribbling, like get to it. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I played with and against them, I really, really took pride in, how I performed and really just getting their blessing. Like, once Renee or Stas, or we had another girl, Nancy, or Mika Stevens. Like when they gave me like the nod of acceptance or the nod of approval, like that's when I really thought I was doing something. I did win the first Rose Classic against Piff and Angela and Kia and all of that.
Talk that.
But I think for me, it was more about impressing the old heads who did a lot of the things that I wanted to do and just being able to share the court with them. And once I started to get on the same team with them in the West Forbes and the Rutgers and Kingdoms and all that stuff, like that's really when, my IQ and my game excelled because, you see like the Warriors and all of the solid teams. Like it's just great basketball when you can play with other great players and really enjoy the game. And it's simple. Like, when I was at Morgan, a lot of times I'm getting box one, double team, and then you go play professionally and it's like, all right, well, at least I know I got 4 Americans. So I can kind of, split the, I guess the duties in regards to trying to impact winning. So, but like I said, definitely, I think in my opinion, that 06 high school class was a tough one. Like I said, you had Piff, you had Tina, you had me, you had Tina Charles, you had Tima Hill, you had Marissa Flagg, you had Kimberly Blakeney, you had Kenya Kirkland. Like we had some hitters coming out that 06 class. So whenever we did match up, whether it was like borough playoffs or whatever the case, it was always a goodie. Like we went hard against each other, and then when it was time for us to play with each other, we did our thing. So, but I would say number one would be Piff, just because in those tournaments we will always see them in the chip. So whether it's Rose, whether it's what's the one uptown we was playing Slam Jam, whether it's I think we did play in a tiny Archibald tournament uptown, like Uptown Challenge, like those were all the top leagues, and it would always be either us and Exodus or I think us and the Gazelles, us and a team called Mika. So, just matching up with those teams on a consistent basis in the championships, that kind of created like a rivalry.
Yeah, that's dope. For those people that's joining us on Instagram, come over to YouTube. Check out New York City great Corin Tiny Adams telling her amazing story. Y'all don't want to miss this. Check out the NYC Basketball Network and press that subscribe button. And everybody's like, how come he's not on Instagram no more? He used to be on Instagram 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I had to start going directly to YouTube because Instagram was stopping. They stopped about 10 or 12 of my shows that I couldn't pull off offline, and
Oh wow.
I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want to lose any more content. So this is the way I can, get the people that's not in town, and those people who live in New York City now have a studio. I could bring them in. So, it's not gonna stop. It's not gonna stop the show. But
right.
Yeah, just want to let you guys know on Instagram. Come to YouTube. Check us out. We right now live on YouTube, NYC Basketball Network. But let's talk about your recruiting process, right? When did the letters start coming in, and how did you decide on going to Morgan out of all the schools that was recruiting you? Or tell me that process.
So my recruiting process was a little different. Like I told you, I didn't really know much about the basketball world. So
Gotcha.
It wasn't until the summer of my junior year where Munch created our AAU program, No Limit. Like I said, we were playing against Exodus and Apache and all of them. And they're like, yo, like, you need to take these girls on the road so they can get some scholarships and stuff. So Apache, rest in peace to him, he kind of helped Munch out, and we kind of figured it out. So one summer was the only time I played AAU. We went down to Mike White. It was an Adidas tournament. Had the Bobby's uniforms. We piled up in his expedition. We sharing like 3 hotel rooms. He got his wife with us. We probably went like 3-3 that tournament. And that night, I get a call from somebody that knew Munch, who had spoke to Coach Q from Syracuse. We talk, and he like, yo, like, they want you bad. They can't talk to you right now, but they'll be in touch, blah, blah, blah. So then at this point, Coach Q is an assistant coach at Syracuse. And I don't even know, how big of a deal this is at the time. So long story short, he calls me a month, and he like, yo, we want you. We want you to verbally commit. We're going to release it. It'll be on the Slam Jam blogs and all that good stuff. So that's the summer before my senior year.
Right.
And then at that point, I'm talking to him often. He's sending the postcards in the mail. And, once you verbally commit, all of the other schools who may have been interested kind of fall back.
Yep.
So then November hits, and I'm like, all right, well, I see that, it's probably a signing period coming up. What's up? So he starts to fall back in communication. So I'm like, I'm not thinking nothing of it, but I also don't know how this process goes. So long story short, they only saw me that one tournament. He's an assistant coach at that time. And they basically had an opportunity to get an All-American. So, boom, they pull that from me, and they go with that All-American because she's stamped. They've seen her multiple times. They know a legitimate what they're going to get from her. He may have seen me one time, play a couple games, but the head coach made that call. So now I'm playing out my high school season. And I think I had like Canisius hit me. LIU wanted me bad. I went to play open gym with them, but in my mind, I just wasn't really thinking about it or whatever. So maybe a couple weeks later, Coach Q calls me like, yo, I feel so terrible about what happened. Like, I'm sorry. He's like, but my man at Morgan, he was sitting with me watching you, and they would love to have you. Like, they're, in Baltimore. I can give him your information. I can give you his. Just let me know. Once again, I'm sorry, yada, yada. So
right.
Call Coach Graham up. He like, yo, we just got the job last year. Morgan been doing bad. We only won like 3 games this year. Like, we want you and your whole, AAU team to come up because we got a bunch of scholarships to give out. So we go drive up to Morgan. It's like me and like 5 others because we have 5 seniors at the time. So it's me, Kenya, my homegirl Juanita, Kimberly, Baby D, and is one other person. So we go up there and we play open gym with them. And my mom comes because now, my mom didn't really know about how this world works.
Right.
Scholarship, free college.
She with it. That's right.
Yeah. So we go out there, we play them, and maybe like the first 10 minutes, like you could tell we all nervous because we're playing against these college girls. It's kind of like we just drove 4 hours. Like you know what I mean? So my mom, like, being my mom, she pulls us all together like, yo, like, what y'all doing? Like, yo, don't y'all want to go to school for free? Like, these girls ain't that good. I seen y'all play better in the past. Like, you know, tighten up or whatever. So then we go crazy. We kill them. And my coach Bees, that was the coach at Morgan at the time, rest in peace to him too. At the end of the visit, he like, yo, I'll take 4 of y'all right now. You know what I'm saying? So we had, my uncle lived in Bowie, which is like 30 minutes, 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
At the time, they were building a new student center. They were building a bowling alley. They were building a theater. They were just building more stuff to Morgan's campus. It wasn't too far away. I really didn't have any other options that I entertained. Like, Canisius was actually good. And they won their championship because they would send me the letters about it. LIU, I don't think they were too good at the time, but I just was like, yo, like, I'm on Flatbush every day. Like, I don't want to go to school on Flatbush. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, all right, let's do it. So the deal was supposed to be Kimberly Blakely was supposed to come with me on a package deal, but I think her SAT score wasn't high enough, so she ended up going to Trinity Valley, then Farmingdale State, and then the plan was for her to come after Farmingdale, but she scored 2,000 points there and became the woman there, so she stayed there. And then my friend Kim was like, nah, I've been in the hood my whole life. Like, I don't really want to go through this another 4 years. I want something different. And she ended up going to Georgetown and playing and doing her thing. So I ended up going there by myself. And, you know, the rest was literally history. But, you know, like I said, I didn't really know much about, like, we played 2 other tournaments. We did a Delaware tournament, but there weren't any coaches there. And then we did a tournament in Maryland, Charm City, something. And it was just us beating up on some teams and getting the experience. But the Mike White was the only one that actually had college coaches and really created some buzz for us. And then, you know, I did do the PSAL exposure joint, but I think that's how Canisius and those other schools were kind of, you know, getting wind of who I was and everything like that. But after that visit, I committed, signed, and I got there the following year. And, you know, it was just crazy. Because and then the other side to it is like, I always compare me and my roommate that came in together, Felicia Jones. Like, her family grew up on the HBCU culture. Like, her dad went to Virginia State, her mom went to Virginia Union. Like, she spent birthdays at Norfolk State versus Hampton homecomings. Like, she was somebody that grew up in that culture. I didn't know anything about it until after really like my junior year, understanding the essence of an HBCU and, you know, playing in the MEAC and playing at a Black school and having a culture and the homecomings and all of that stuff. I didn't know anything about that because I don't think that's something that's kind of, you know, preached or taught about when you're in New York or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I was at Morgan, I saw a few people come from New York on college tours, but not everybody actually, you know, did those or were aware of those opportunities. I think now, of course, there's an HBCU, you know, marketing going on where there's a lot of publicity behind it. But back then, I didn't know anything about it, but, you know, I think it was one of the greatest decisions I ever made. And, you know, I'm happy that, you know, once again, things worked out the way they did. But I think in regards to an awareness, there weren't many things known. Like, I don't think there's many people who actually went to many HBCUs from New York. One of my old heads went to Hampton, but I didn't know that until after I got to Morgan, and she was like, "Hey, why didn't you go to Hampton?" And I'm like, "Yo, you didn't tell me about it." Like, she's like, "You know, I didn't even know that you was old enough yet. Like, we always look at you as the young one, you know." So, you know, she went to Hampton. The other people that I played with, they went to Miami. Like, Renee went to Miami. Mika went to St. John's. You know, same thing with Stas. Stas went to Shaw, CIAA, but you know, they always looked at me like I was 12. So nobody really knew when it was time for me to go to school that, you know, these are some of the things that, you know, I needed to know. But you know, LG went to Ohio State. Tiki went to Syracuse. T. Hayes went to St. John's. Nuki went to St. John's. I mean, Seton Hall. They both went to Seton Hall. Like, nobody really went to many HBCUs or shared, the importance of possibly attending one. So, that was really just like something that I didn't really know about. But like I said, it was definitely, one of the best, decisions I could have made.
Listen, speaking of Hampton, I remember looking down at them when they were recruiting me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue. I was doing this all by myself. No one in my family had went to college, and no one was preaching about the HBCUs back then.
Right.
So us guys, we kind of like gave them the stiff arm back in those days if they approached us about coming to the schools, unless we didn't have anything else. But when I look back on it now, I think I missed out on a great opportunity because the coach really wanted me really bad. And I was like, why I'm going down there? Didn't understand the importance and the culture. But I think now kids are starting to figure out and want to take that route, especially what Deion Sanders is doing down at Jackson State. And exposing everybody to the sports side of things down there, and just getting the whole wholesome culture of the HBCUs back in the main spotlight, So I think that's important. Yeah, that's definitely important. So let's talk about like the transitions, right? We talk about the transitions on and off the court. When you got to Morgan, what were some of the transitions that you had to kind of make for yourself coming from New York City to get yourself acclimated there?
The biggest one was turnovers. Like my coach, I'm coming from playing with Munch. I'm coming from New York City basketball. So I just love crossing people and throwing flashy passes and getting the crowd involved. And a lot of my teammates were from Baltimore, Cali, Massachusetts, and stuff like that. So they weren't necessarily ready for those passes. So, early on, it was either a turnover because they didn't catch it, or they didn't finish the layup because they were kind of startled. So probably the first 2 to 4 weeks, my coach stressed the fact that, one, take care of his ball, and two, look to score a little bit more because you're actually one of the best scorers on the team, but you're always looking past first. So for me, that was something that on the court I had to make an adjustment to, learning my teammates, learning the personnel, understanding who I could throw those passes to, understanding who I maybe had to like wink and give a signal before I threw it. And then off the court is just time management. You have a rigorous schedule as a student athlete. At the time, I was a phys ed major, which required almost 160 credits. So I had about, 6, 7 classes coming in as a freshman, plus individuals, plus practice, plus weights, plus trying to study, plus eat, plus finding time to sleep. So you really had to plan your time accordingly. And that transition from high school where as a senior I didn't have many classes, so as a senior I may have had 3 classes and then I can chill all day until practice and then I go home. At Morgan, coming in, you had 6 a.m. weights, then you had an 8 o'clock class, then you had classes all through lunch till 12, then you had an individual workout at 1, then you had class again till 3, then you had practice at 6. Then when you got back, you had to eat and figure out what work you had to put in and do and all of that type of stuff. So between time management and adjusting my style of play that would be suitable for, of course, my coach not cursing me out, but also for us to be successful. That was one of the biggest transitions and adjustments I had to make. Also, just understanding that, like I spoke about my roommate who grew up in an HBCU culture, making adjustments and understanding different people, different lives, different things they've been through. Like I had people who were coming from Harrisburg, PA. I had people that were from Baltimore. I had Virginia. I had Cali. Different accents. I had people from Atlanta. So we had Detroit. So we had different accents, different styles of music, different foods, different styles of dressing. Everybody's shoe game was different. And then you add into the whole campus where, you have, people I'm seeing from New York and people I'm seeing from Brooklyn that are just there as regular college students, but they're from, schools that I've been to in Banneker and Erasmus, and, there's other people from all over the place. And, just kind of embracing the experience was one of the biggest adjustments I had to make. And it was tough. I mean, at the same time, I don't think Baltimore was much different than Brooklyn in the sense of, danger, crime, the people, the way of life, just those type of things. I didn't have to adjust in that sense, but campus life, style of play, time management, those were some of the things that I had to kind of make a conscious effort when it came to transitioning as a freshman student athlete.
Yeah, so you young girls and young guys out there, pay attention. Coach just broke down all the things you're gonna need to do to become successful being a student athlete. It's not just about playing basketball. It's things that you got to learn how to do, time management, learn how to fit in your studies, get to practice, making sure that you stay on the court and play. So you got to juggle a lot of things and stay focused, or you just be one of the rest, or
Right.
fell out of school because it's too much,
Right.
because you want to party
Right.
too much, or you don't want to handle your responsibilities. So there's a lot to juggle. So good job on that.
Yeah.
When did you realize I'm gonna be very successful here? Like, when did that kick in? Like, let's just talk about that first 1,000 point, right? Because most people are happy to do that. Hold on, most people are happy to do that in 4 years. Let's just say that if you get 1,000 points in 4 years, had a good career. Like, no, you surpassed that.
Yeah, I mean, so as I mentioned, Morgan, the 3 years before I got there, they won a total of 10 games. My senior class had never won much. So I came in with 6 other freshmen, and we kind of changed the culture and raised the talent level of Morgan's team. And, typically people would check Morgan off as a W on their schedule, and we ended up winning 18 games and going to the MEAC championship. So that whole year, every time we won, it was historic. So it was like we beat New Jersey Tech to open up the season. And it's like, wow, the first time Morgan's won the season opener in 20 years. We win a 3-game win streak. It's like, wow, first time Morgan's been on a 3-game win streak since the 80s. It's just like everything was becoming history as that season progressed. So we beat, Coppin State, who had a, 70 plus win streak in conference, to go to the championship. We upset the top 3 teams in the conference. I got, rookie of the weeks, player of the weeks. We had other players get individual accolades. Like my coach got coach of the year. So that was a historic year. And, after that year, one of the things one of my assistant coaches will always do is give me goals throughout the games, but also for the season. So that season, I think I averaged like 13.6. I made the rookie team. I made the tournament team. I had a lot of different accolades coming in. And then when I started to think about it, it was like, yo, like, we just had this crazy historic season. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what else could I do? So me being me, I'm goal oriented. So I went to the history books and I'm like, all right, well, if this is what I'm going to do it big. I'm going to take over this whole thing. And, I saw that I had an opportunity to excel and break a lot of records at Morgan. And, I don't only have points. I'm all-time leader in steals and assists for men and women. And those were things that I made goals of, where it's like, yo, all right, no matter what, to achieve this goal, I want to be the first person to score 2,000 points. This, like, I got the first 1,000 probably by like the second game of my junior year. So it was like by my senior year, it was like, yo.
Hold on. Time out. I said I was going to bring my whistle to the damn show. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah,
So,
if we would have played
you scored
postseason,
1,000 points
basically in 2 years in like 3 games. Like if we would have played postseason, I would have had 1,000 points the end of my sophomore year. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I started to set goals where it was like, all right, senior year, I need a minimum of 16 points to reach my goal. And then, I was already the steals leader. I was already the assist leader. I was the all-time points, but I wanted to set it high so that nobody else can break it. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I was also low-key competing with my male counterpart on the men's team because it was like Reggie Holmes, they won championships. He got rings. So I'm like, yo, I got to get one up on him somehow, some way. So I wanted to score 2,000 first, and I wanted to have more points to him. So he has 2,053. I have 2,058. So when it all comes down to it, like I got that at least. I would have loved to get the championships and some of the opportunities and accolades he got. But
Right.
I'm very happy with what I do have, which is, all-time leader in points, steals, and assists. I got the school's first triple-double. I'm 13th in rebounding. Like I was able to really do some things. But after that first year, like I said, I started to set my own goals. Like, I got player of the year. I got defensive player of the year. I made first team. So I just started to set goals. And then literally senior year was when I was like, oh, wait, maybe I could get drafted. Maybe I could play overseas. Like, I didn't really come into Morgan like, this is what I want to do, this, and that. Like, Coach Clark helped me set those goals. And then when I started to see that things were in reach, it was like, oh, yeah, let's go get this too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's do it. Let's keep adding up. Let's keep running it up. And, for me, that was all it was about. Like, and I was the same way off the court. Like I graduated with, I graduated cum laude. Like I went, 3.5 higher. Like I went back, got my master's. So like for me, it was just like, yo, like, things for me, I feel like are limitless. And, I just try to keep striving to do as much as possible and, inspire others to do the same. Like, people see me, it's like, yo, like, Tiny doing her thing, and it's like, yo, I mean, I'm 5'5", I'm from Brooklyn, like you could do it too, you know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of how I try to move and operate. But yeah, once I saw that those things were in reach, I just planned for it. Like, all right, there's 30 games in this season. I need 1,000. All right, so I might have to average 30 a game. You know what I'm saying? Like those are some of the things I put into perspective to kind of be successful and achieve the things I did.
Yeah, but to be the lead scorer, leading steals and assists, so that means you was hooking people up. And then 5'5" and 13th in rebounds overall. That's amazing. That is simply
that's a lot
amazing.
of minutes too. That's a lot of minutes. A lot of ice baths.
Right. But at the end of the day, it was all worth it.
For sure.
And what you did, I don't think is going to be matched for a very long time.
That's the plan.
That's right.
The plan. I mean, that's right. I did have a young lady, Tracy Carrington, who I do a lot of my work with my nonprofit for. She beat my single season record. So I think I had at like 560 points in one season. Wow. She actually beat that with I think she had like 600 and something. And she's, I think, third all-time scoring. So of course, I was motivating her to beat it, but secretly I'm like, nah, I hope she don't. But at the end of the day, like I do want to motivate others to be better. There was a male player, Taiwan Kenley, like he was at Morgan probably 2 years, and he scored like 1,300. So if he would have been at Morgan all 4 years, he would have definitely beat it. But I'm a little fortunate that he didn't. But end of the day, records are meant to be broken. But I tried to put that way up there so that it can be around for some time. And so far it's been held up pretty well.
Right. No, you did an awesome job. So when you had to think about going to the WNBA or going overseas, who helped you in that process?
I wish I had help. So as I mentioned, a lot of the stuff I was ignorant to. So I actually signed with an agent who wasn't certified, and that kind of affected, my WNBA chances. by the end of my senior season, I was projected to go last pick to, I believe, Phoenix. And it's crazy because she wasn't certified, but she was doing so good of a job that she actually pissed off a lot of the execs because she would be harassing them to try to get me in training camps and or
Wow.
drafted. And once they were kind of pissed off, they were like, yo, who is this lady? And they looked her up and they saw she wasn't certified. And that's when they kind of just ceased all communication. For me, writing a book, writing a blog, it was specifically because I think that's where a lot of the information is lacking on how to pick an agent, what it takes to get overseas, those type of things. That's why I also, started to work with an agency before I began coaching, because you don't have the information and you don't know what you don't know. Like, I didn't know I had to go check to see if she was certified. She told me she was an agent and I believed her, and it kind of came back to haunt me. But for me, it's a tough process. It's similar to, picking what school you're going to commit to. But, what I always tell people, I try not to ever kill dreams, but the reality of the situation is when you play overseas and these teams are bringing you in as an import, they wanna blame you for the losses and they wanna blame you for the wins. It's a lot of pressure. They're expecting you to carry their team because that's what they're paying you for. A lot of times you'll get over there and your teammates, they're not getting paid. They're in school. They have other lives. So they bring these import players in to carry the load. So with that being said, it's like, why would they sign you as opposed to the hundreds of thousands of other players that they're going to receive? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, of course, everyone wants to play professionally, but you have to have something that separates you. So, unfortunately, I never got my opportunity at the WNBA, but I did play in top leagues overseas with a lot of top WNBA players. After the first agent, I signed with another agent. And the thing with him is that he only worked with the top leagues of Russia, Turkey, Spain. And me coming from the MEAC and Morgan, those teams are a little bit hesitant to give me a chance. So a lot of times it was, Tiny, they love you, but it's between you and this girl from Duke who averages 2 points. Or it's between you and another player who has the school backing, but they don't necessarily have the stats. Or it's this girl and you who she just got cut from training camp. So she has a WNBA stamp on her resume. And, end of the day, they always went with them. The other thing about picking an agent is you got to pick one that's right for you. And, he had opportunities, but at the end of the day, I was still home and he didn't necessarily associate with those teams that I would need to get my foot in the door to prove to those higher teams. He didn't really deal with them. So he wouldn't communicate with them to get me that deal because he only dealt with the top-notch teams that paid $5,000 and more. And really, he had a whole roster full of WNBA players and people from, the big schools and the big conferences. So signing me, of course, he knew my talent, but it was hard for him to seal me a deal in the sense that, I'm coming from Morgan and the MEAC where these teams haven't heard of that. So after him, I signed with one more agent and we just didn't see eye to eye. The communication wasn't great. And, I started to take initiative to do things on my own. And then that was what got people buzzing about me to her. And she felt a little bit disrespected because she didn't know that I was doing these things. So when I would go to tryouts or I would go to workouts or I would do this or that, people would reach out to her. And instead of, running with that, she took offense to it as opposed to like, you got me looking like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not aware of the things you're doing. But if you're not doing it, I'm not just going to sit back and relax. So after that last agent, I became my own agent. I started to send out my own film. I started to reach out to teams. And, of course, I played in Puerto Rico through that way. I got to Portugal through going through an exposure camp and talking to an agent that helped me get over there. But for the most part, I did a lot of the leg work. And then I got myself to Bosnia, and then I got myself to Bulgaria. And then that's when I realized, like, for me to play in the Polands and the Greases and the top leagues, I needed an agent because these people aren't checking their emails. They're only talking to the agents that they had connections with. So I signed with 2 Points, who I knew because a lot of my friends from New York and a lot of my friends from these top teams were signed to them. So I knew they were good agents with the connection. And I built with my guy, Lorenzo Galati. And, we signed, and then he got me to Sweden. He got me to Poland. He got me to Romania. He got me to Greece. And he got me to the leagues where I was playing against WNBA players. I was being treated right. I was in a professional setting. I was getting paid on time and things of that nature. And then after me going through all of the bad agents, I started to work with him in recruitment and signing people where it's like, yo, like, here's an agency who takes care of both male and female athletes. You don't have to worry about anything. They're legit. And then I also served as a support staff for the rookies. So while I was still playing towards the end of my career, I helped recruit players. I signed over like 25 players to them and served in a supporting role to help them throughout their rookie year because, as we mentioned before, it's a transition. It's an adjustment period. Like, you got to understand that you're going to play 40 minutes. It's only going to be you and another American. Sometimes it may be you by yourself. You're going to be away from home. You're going to be away from your real support system. You might not speak the language. You might not like the food. It might be cold. Your coach might be crazy. So you got 3 days, like, just to kind of help them make that transition because there are a lot of bad agents out there and you don't have anyone really educating you. So I did create the blog. I did create the book to kind of serve as these references and resources that people can use in regard to picking an agent. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure your agent is knowledgeable in the sense where you know what teams are not going to pay on time. You know what teams have had trouble. You know what teams treat their players a certain way. You know what GMs care, what GMs don't care. They know the league competition, so they know where they can place you, where you can be successful. They know the rules of that league. Some leagues, like, you can have a certain amount of Americans, but they mandate how many can play at one time. So if you're in, say, when I was in Romania, they always required that they had an 18 and under player on the court at all moments because they wanted to help those players get better. And they feel like if you just bring all these Americans in, they'll never get an opportunity to play. But your agent has to know that because now you're going there thinking you're going to play 40 minutes, but you got to realize that this younger has to play the whole game. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to make sure your agent knows what's going on, knows you as a player, know what you can and can't do. Like my guy Malcolm had an agent market him to a team as a 4-man. He's a point guard. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it just, your agent has to know how to market you and navigate and also understand how the business works. And then you have to understand that the agent works for you. I've seen agents try to get over. Now they changed the FIBA rules where players pay the agent directly, but beforehand it was the teams that paid the agent. So some agents would get paid by both and kind of get over and get paid double when in essence it was only supposed to be the team that pays the agents. You also have agents who would charge you for highlight tapes and all that type of stuff. And it's like, yo, that's your job. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really understanding the business, understanding that if somebody asks you to pay for your own visa, it's likely a scam. Like, if the team can't pay for your visa, how are you going to pay your salary? Understanding that these teams will get over on you if they can. If they want to try to get rid of you, you better have a guaranteed contract that insures you through injuries, or if they want to send you home, but they still have to pay you. So there's just a lot of little stuff that I learned the hard way through mistakes. And there's not enough people really providing that guidance. So even sharing their experience, like I tell a lot of the hooper people I know, like, yo, share your testimony, and you'll see on Overseas Fits, you'll see Malcolm do it a lot. You'll see a lot of people that are starting to share their testimonies because, instead of being embarrassed, like, we got to help each other out. Like, at the end of the day, we all go through the same stuff. So if we share our testimonies, that can help the next generation of hoopers avoid all of the heartbreak that we've, been through. And that's kind of why I did the book and the blog, because as I went through these things, I really didn't have many people to lean on or ask about, situations like that. So, overseas is a great place, but you got to know how to navigate it, and you need an agent in your corner that can help you.
Yeah. When I interviewed Corey Coleman, she talked about the same things. and how she's helping people who's coming after her as well.
Mhm.
So, you know, we got to stay together, especially us New Yorkers, and look out for each other, and even people that get in contact with you that's from other places, so they know what to look out for once they get there. And it's
Right.
such a shady game with these
Yeah,
agents and
it can
everything.
be. It can be. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of great organizations,
Yes.
but there's more bad ones than good ones. And end of the day, it's just people trying to prey on the fact that you're hungry to chase this basketball dream. So
Yeah.
if I can scam you out of a couple dollars, or I can use you for whatever reason, I'm going to try to do it because my hope is that you don't know any better. And that's where the issue is. So we just got to keep educating the next generation and helping them understand, like, yo, like, there's a lot of opportunities out there. You know, don't settle for, something just because it sounds like a lot of money. Don't settle just to be considered a pro. Don't just go anywhere. Like, you got to make sure, especially now that you're safe and you're in a good environment with people that care about you, and you can really be a professional in every essence of the word.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing. Let's talk about the lighter side, right? What were some of the favorite countries that you played in, and why was it your favorite place to play?
So my first and my last experience, and that's all because of the people. So Portugal, I actually played there for 2 years, and we played on an island called Terceira Island. And the reason why it was such an enjoyable experience is because we had 4 teams on that island. So you had 2 male teams, 2 women teams. Each team had Americans on it. So we really had about 16 to 20 Americans on this island.
Got you.
So we would go to each other's games. We would party together, hang out, celebrate birthdays. Like, we didn't even go home, like, for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We just all chilled there. Like, I had my family come out. Some of them had their family came out. So it was really just a family vibe, and it made the experience like we all get in the gym together. Like, 2 of our team shared the gym, so we would work out and stuff like that. So it was just a dope experience, especially to be, my first experience in Europe. And then Greece is similar because like 90% of the teams in Greece for both men and women are in Athens. So my team is in Athens. So the same thing. Like, we go to each other games, we go party. Everybody got the same schedule. You connect with a lot of different Americans, because when we get over there, we try to look out for each other.
Yeah.
We kind of got our little secret society of Americans and all that good stuff. So everybody links up, everybody enjoys each other. Of course, when you're on the court, it's different. But once you're off the court, like, it's all love and it's all family. And then Greece is just a beautiful country, good food. But that was probably, aside from Poland, that was probably the most professional organization I've been a part of, like, from, film sessions to trainers to the way we did things, just understanding the culture of basketball out there. Like, I played for Panathinaikos, and, they're big rivals with Olympiacos to the point where, like, it's like Bloods and Crips. Like, we can't go on their side, they can't come on our side. Like, we wear green, they wear red. Like, you better not wear red. Like, sometimes when we in the airport, we don't wear our stuff because we don't know who's a fan of Olympiacos and how that might go south. You know what I'm saying? So
it's like the soccer things are out over there, right? For basketball, right.
Like, flare guns, like, they spit
hooligans.
On us. Like our home crowd is crazy. So, like, for me, that was something I didn't really experience much in regards to big crowds and stuff, unless I played away at a bigger school, or, I had a few cup games early on in my career that, we had 2,000-3,000, but that was really like a really thick basketball culture in Greece. And, like, the organization I was part of, that's where Giannis came from. So just seeing, just how they embraced it. And then everything was Americanized in Greece. So they had Fridays, the movies were in English, all of the clubs playing hip hop. Like, it was just a great experience. And, those two, I was able to meet a lot of great people, both the natives and the Americans and the imports. So it made it, enjoyable. Like, I never came home when I traveled and played abroad because we probably get like a week. So I'm like, I don't feel like getting on an 8-hour flight just to go home for a week. Ain't nothing home. Right. So I would either stay and explore, or I would go to neighboring countries. Like, I'll have my mom come out and We'll go to France, we'll go to different countries and explore and see things. Because once you're in Europe, going to a different country is like $100 to $200. It's not even that much. So I was really trying to embrace the culture, and I've done crazy things like they have different traditions in Portugal. I had to eat snails because it was a wedding tradition, so you got to eat live snails to wish the groom luck. Bulgaria, I had to eat like a lamb tongue for somebody's like baby shower or something like that. So like I embraced it. I think overseas is just like college, is what you make it. So if you're in your room all day, you're not interacting, you're on FaceTime, you're on Netflix, you're not gonna really enjoy it. It's gonna be miserable, especially if you're losing. If you're losing, like you gotta like really, really tap into the people you're around and understand why they are the way they are. Hang out. You don't gotta go out every night, but just to kind of get those experiences, that's kind of what makes it such a unique opportunity. But Portugal and Greece, those are my favorite places. I didn't play in Italy, but I went to Italy for I probably went to Italy for like 5 weeks. I was trying out because I didn't like the deals I was getting. So I was trying out, but I was also working for my agency at the time. And I had probably 3 friends of mine that lived in Milan. So I was in Milan for like 4 or 5 weeks, and it was the time of my life. Like I loved it. I almost like, I'm moving to Milan. You know what I mean? So just because like my guy Charles Jenkins, he played at he played on the Armani Exchange team. So, that's the best team out there. They play in EuroLeague. They take care of them. He driving Benzes, Armani's courtside. So hanging out with him. And then I had another friend, Maria, who played on the women's team out there. So we were just kicking it, go to their games. I work out with them. And then I was just out there for a little bit. And then I just left and went to Switzerland and played there for a little bit. But those were some of the great experience I had abroad. I was playing in Prague with Truck. Truck was in Prague the same time I was in Prague, and then my mother came over for Christmas, and I actually took her on a European tour. So we went from Prague to Paris to Italy to meet my agent, and then we finished in Sweden. So we did that for over the course of 10 days. So I was able to just travel and, visit places that, you see them in the textbooks, but, it's kind of different to see them, live in person. And, those were some great experiences. But I loved overseas. Like I said, I never came home. I would do my bid. Everybody says it's an 8-month bid. I would do my bid. I'm going over in September, and y'all not going to see me again until April, May.
That's real. I had Kim Hampton on the show, and she came on and talked about her experiences playing 14 years before she went to the WNBA. And she said while she was there, she picked up 5 or 6 languages, and she gave an example of a few. Did you pick up any while you was there?
That's my only regret. So what I would do is I would probably learn the main 30 words to survive. So the
That's what everybody said.
Where you from, New York,
right.
Da 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 da. Of course, your teammates gonna teach you all of the bad and the curse words and stuff like that. But that's my only regret. Because even when I was in Portugal, we used to try to talk a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't pick up any languages. A lot of the languages are similar, so you can hear certain things when you say the good morning and the good nights and that type of stuff. But unfortunately, I only speak English and Google Translate.
Google Translate, that's funny.
Yep.
So, oh man. So when we talk about coming to the end of your career, how did you rediscover yourself after basketball? How was that transition?
So I was not a great athlete in the sense that I didn't take care of my body. So I didn't drink water as much. I didn't stretch. I didn't start taking ice baths until my body forced me to. And when I decided that, it was going to be time for me to retire, I never wanted to be the washed up old head that just couldn't let the game go. So when I was in Greece, I had got an injury, a heel injury, And then that led to plantar fasciitis. And then like I felt like I didn't really want to be in the gym as much. It could have been because of the injury, could have been because of just finally becoming homesick, because I never was homesick before. But I didn't feel like, the moment I felt like I didn't want to be in the gym 24/7, that's when I knew it was time to step away. And I was like, you know what, I do want to go out on a good note. So went out with 30. We won the bronze in Greece. And no matter how many people tried to talk me into it, like, yo, you just getting into your prime. Like, I knew my heart wasn't into wanting to be in the gym all day, because that was my staple. My staple was hard work and putting the work in, and perfecting my craft at all times. So once I felt like I wasn't really into it, um, I started to figure out a plan. I had my bachelor's in phys ed to teach, but I knew I wanted to stay around the game. So I came back. I did a couple interviews in New York, but I didn't want to stay in New York. For me, I just always felt like a lot of the things I wanted to do were harder in New York for whatever reason. A lot of people were money hungry. A lot of people didn't want to support you until everybody else supported you. So I said, I'm going to go to Baltimore.
That's real.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to go to Baltimore. I know they love me out there. I know I can make something shake no matter what. So I came back to Baltimore, started my master's. I started officiating. And I loved officiating. Like, I reffed all the way up into JUCO women's, but there was some politics in that I wasn't a fan of. Like, immediately after like 5 minutes, I can tell through my partners who played basketball, who takes things personal, and who isn't really in their rule book, knowing their rules and things like that. And, at the end of the day, you got to have your partner's back. And I stopped wanting to have the back of people who didn't take it as serious as I did. Like, my thing was like, if we were in, say, is Lincoln versus boys and girls, it's a good game. My mindset coming into that game is, yo, I'm going to do my thing, because I don't want to mess up the run. I want this to be a great game, and I don't want to have anything but, deciding it. As opposed to some of my partners who, they want to control a game. They getting a little egotistical because some kid may have waved them off when they called something. So they're taking it personal. Like, I didn't want to be a part of that anymore. So after officiating, I got with a high school boys team out here, Poly. They were coached by Sam Brand, who actually worked with me the summer before my senior year and helped me get Player of the Year. And he like, Tiny, I need you to come work with my guards. Like, I need you. So I'm working out with them. At the same time, I'm still helping out at Morgan, because, I'm there as a grad assistant in the athletic department. And the condition that the athletic director brought me in was he wanted me to be a mentor. Like, my position title was academic mentor. So he wanted me to mentor them in the classroom and as a student athlete. And I started working with the girls, and doing both of those at the same time, the guys sort of matched my passion a little more, in a sense where maybe 2 girls, they were gym rats.
Right.
But with the guys, all of them thought they was going to the league. So they calling me for 6 a.m. workouts, as opposed to me dragging these girls in the gym for 6 p.m. workouts. So now, granted, I'm still not playing because I didn't touch a ball for a full year. Like, I had the plantar fasciitis, and I just didn't really want to play. Like, reffing was cool because it wasn't that taxing on my heel and my foot, but I didn't have the urge to play. Like, I was at peace at retiring, but I did want to give back because, I wish I would have had coaches that were a little bit more harder on me, taught me a little bit more fundamentals and that type of stuff. Like, I love all my coaches to death, but I knew that there was some things that I can educate the next generation with. And like I said, like, don't get me wrong, I still help female players get overseas and all that stuff. But when it came to passion and really loving the game and ball is life mentality, like, those high school guys matched that. And they knew my story already. So they knew who I was. They understood my career at Morgan. They knew I just came back from playing pro. And then I would like shoot around with them and stuff like that. So transitioning from, reffing to coaching that high school team, that's when it clicked. Like, you know what? Like, this is what I want to do. You know, I love teaching because, you know, like I said, I did have my bachelor's in teaching. And then at the time I was getting my master's in journalism, and I also wanted to share their stories because a lot of them had unique stories from, you know, their mom passing away, from their pops passing away, to seeing somebody in their neighborhood get killed. So um at that moment of working with those high school boys, there were no women coaching on the men's side. And like I said, I'm goal oriented. I like to do stuff that people haven't done. So at that moment, I'm telling Sam, I'm like, yo, I'm locked in with y'all, but just know, like, ultimately, like, I wanna be the first, you know, female college coach on the men's side. And then maybe a year into it, that's when Coach Curry got the position at Maine. And then, you know, as things start progressing, there were a lot more women getting NBA positions. And, you know, my big homie Teresa Weatherspoon got her position. And, you know, I'm starting to see it. So now I'm like, yo, like, my dreams are within reach. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing and turn my grind up a little bit. And then, you know, eventually after 2 years of putting the work in, I actually, you know, exceeded my expectation to becoming a coach at Loyola. Like, that was a 3 to 5 year plan that, you know, because of the work I had put in, it was executed in 2 years. And now I'm already 2 years in. And, you know, now this is just something that I know for a fact that, you know, I really wake up every day, you know, grateful to be in this position. But I love what I do. I love my guys. I love learning. I love getting better. You know, like I really take pride in this position and being someone that these guys can look to and look to as a big sister, look to as a coach. You know, sometimes, you know, it's not even about basketball, but, you know, some of the things we do, it's about life. And, you know, me just being who I wanted to be when I was, you know, younger. You know, like be who you needed when you were younger is a motto that I live by. So, you know, I wouldn't say that I didn't have many mentors, but for a lot of the mistakes I made, having somebody to tell me the route to go and help me avoid mistakes. And, you know, the only person I really referred to was my mom. She didn't play, she didn't know any better. So we kind of just guessed our way through things and lived with the outcome and tried to figure it out another way. So, you know, when I retired, like I said, I knew I wanted to still be around the game. I just kind of had to figure it out, and through that experience coaching with the guys at Poly, that helped me. That helped me, you know, kind of open my eyes and figure out what I wanted to do.
Now, did you realize that the legendary Rice head coach Mo Hicks played for Loyola?
I didn't know that.
Yes, I had him on the show. We talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure it's this one? Maryland or
Yes.
Chicago?
No,
Okay.
Maryland.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mo Hicks. Okay.
Yep.
I gotta look that up.
Facts.
I
Definitely.
gotta look that up for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
I got 2 New Yorkers coming at me from Stepinac. I got Isaiah Alexander and Sam Gibbs. They're gonna be here next month. They're gonna
Okay.
be our incoming freshmen. So I got a couple New Yorkers coming. We already got 2 guys from Brooklyn, and then we got another guy from Jersey. So I'm definitely putting that East Coast vibe onto
That's
you know,
right.
our team. But I'm definitely still trying to keep the DMV as our core. But that's good to know. I didn't know that. I'm gonna look
go
them
down,
up.
go to my YouTube page, scroll down to the Mo Hicks show, the Mo Hicks
Mhm.
episode, and watch it. He'll tell you how it all came about and you know how he was successful there as well, because he was very successful there.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, so all 3 of those places I mentioned where I worked are on a street called Cold Spring Lane. So Morgan is 10 minutes from Loyola, and then Loyola is 10 minutes from Poly High School. So I've been all up and down Cold Spring
Nice.
at every stop I've had in my coaching career. You know, I did video coordinator for Morgan boys team, and then I got this job, and then, like I said, I did the high school boys team. So this is definitely my second home, but you know, it's Brooklyn forever.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When you type in your name, so much press come up about you being, you know, the 6th female in NCAA history to coach on the men's side. How important to you is to become a head coach on the men's side and running your own program?
I think for me, it's definitely an ultimate goal of mine. You know, I think, of course, I feel like later down the line, I'm going to coach women for the culture, but ultimately, I want to be a head coach on the men's side and just show that it can be done, that women can be successful at it. We just need an opportunity to do so. But I think it's important because personally, of course, it's a personal goal. Like, I wouldn't say every assistant coach, but most assistant coaches want to be a head coach. And granted, it's two different things. Like, once you take those, whatever amount of inches, they call it 5 inches or 6 inches over, it's a whole different ball game. But that is an ultimate goal of mine, to be both the head coach on the men's side and also on the women's side. But it's important just because, like I said, a lot of the stuff I do is to also motivate and inspire. I've been in communications with a lot of women who are interested in being, head coaches of men programs. And, for so long, we've been able to let men be, head coaches of female programs. So it's just really showing that it can become a norm, it can be successful, and that it can be done at a high level. So I think it is important to get that opportunity and excel in it, just like I'm trying to do in this one. But for me personally, me being who I am and, the leader and basketball mind, I want to one day run, a men's Division I program and get to the Final Four and, shock the world and really instill my thoughts and my, techniques and my vision on a program to, be successful and, put some guys in position to do some of the things that they want to do.
Yeah, listen, whatever you put your mind to, you have accomplished. Every time you put your mind to something, you have set the goal and you have accomplished it. So I wanted to get you, some time to put those words in the air, put that energy out there, put that vibration out, because one day you're going to reach that goal for sure.
For sure. Thank you. I appreciate the belief.
Listen,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to make it happen. I'm not even worried about it. I think right now is just, being the best assistant coach I can be, being a sponge, learn as much as possible. I'm no stranger to, taking advice. And like I said, mentorship is very important to me now, is very important to my success. So, I'm actually going to watch Towson women's basketball practice tomorrow. Like, I go out and watch different people practice to see what they're doing. I do a lot of professional development. So I'm gearing up, and I know when the time is right, the right opportunity will present itself. And I'm going to do everything in my power to be successful and open the door for the next female that wants to do the same thing.
For sure. What's going on with this TA9? Like, and how can we get some apparel over here at Basketball Heads? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about that, because you're a businesswoman at heart, right? You got a lot of things going on.
I can make you a special package. TA9 kind of been on hold since the pandemic.
Okay.
Because, I got this position right after. But, you can see the logo on my chain right here. That was something that just kind of came about. I was promoting the book, and I created the logo to put on shirts to draw attention to the book, but a lot of people focused on the shirts, and then it just kind of blew up and took over for like 2 or 3 summers in New York. A lot of people, it's still kind of surreal to me, but a lot of people support a lot of the stuff I do. So just having people anxious to wear my logo and my brand, that was definitely a great time. But it's been a while since I produced some apparel. Right now, I have a couple people sponsor overseas where they're really the only ones getting gear, unless one of my homies hit me like, yo, I need this, or yo, I need something to match these sneakers, or whatever the case may be. But my website is still active. It's TA9 Apparel on Store Envy. The book is on there. There's gear on there.
What's the name of the books? Tell people the name of the books as well.
So my book is called Tiny Setbacks, Major Comebacks. From Brooklyn to Europe, and it basically just details all of the mistakes I made and how I overcame them, and it's basically like to serve as, not only a student athlete handbook, but a professional athlete handbook. And then just also inspire, people who aren't athletes to, chase their dreams and understand that you just got to persevere. So, all of that stuff is accessible. If you do decide to order a few things, I will get it to you. But, right now I've just been so locked in on coaching and, my nonprofits that it's kind of
Tiny.
had to take a back seat.
Tiny.
Yeah.
We could do a fair exchange, Tiny. We could
sure.
We could do you know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? I
got
you.
I need the extra small though.
For sure. I'm going to order when I order some more. I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna hold it to the side for you. But the reason why I want to bless you is because really I am so proud of your story. I'm so proud of all the things you were able to accomplish, and it makes guys like myself proud because this platform is our platform, right? I created this for us so we can come on and we can tell our stories, because during the pandemic we was losing a lot of New York City greats, and it was nobody out there capturing our stories.
Right. Nah, I definitely feel that. Like I said, like I encourage a lot of people. Like, for one, I try to get everybody to write a book just because it's therapeutic to kind of relive some experiences. But like I said, like those testimonies are important because like we all go through the same stuff. Like we've all experienced different things, but at the same time, we all experience the same things. And sometimes people just need reassurance or somebody to say like, dang, like I'm going through this right now, but Tiny went through that. And this is how she got out of it. So I know it's possible. I could do it another way. I could do it the same way. But sometimes people just need to see, examples of success or reassurance that, you might be down right now, but you're not out. Like there's opportunities to get back on your feet and come back. And, those are some of the things that, I encourage people to share their stories and their testimonies. And I commend you for taking your time to share, other people's stories. Like, it's selfless to be on here. You can be talking about yourself, you can be talking about memories, but you're taking the time out to highlight people in the community that some people may know about, some people may not know about. Like I said, when I was growing up, there was a lot of hood legends. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't really know about everybody that was, on the ESPNs and, in the daily news, but I knew Tamika, and I looked up to Tamika, and then I looked up to, Rye and all these other guys, where it's like, those were the people that kind of, like, yo, like, if this is what you're going to do, you better stay locked in. Like, they'll give you little tidbits here and there, but we need more people that we can point to and say like, yo, I like what Anton doing with Rose. Like, what can I do similar to impact my community? Like, I've seen, different people do different things, but I got an idea that I want to execute. Maybe I should highlight them. So I think it's important to share stories and share experiences and even share your failures. Like I ain't shy. I share my L's just as much as my W's because like you gotta learn from, you gotta move on. And like I said, we all go through the same stuff. So it's like, yo, I'm struggling right now. Like, yo, I'm struggling right now. Well, all right, let's figure it out together. You know what I mean? So
That's right.
I think it's important to have platforms like this. And, for me, I've never said no to any opportunity. I answer all DMs. People reach out to me all the time. And, I answer everything. So, like I said, shout out to you and everyone else that's been on this show. And, we got to keep continuing to, educate the next generation and, help them become more successful than we are.
All right, we're about to get out of here. First, I would like to ask you one question, then we're going to get into our top five. Top five. All right, listen. Before we get into that, if you had anything to change, right? If you could change anything throughout your career, what would it have been?
I don't know if I would change anything because, like I said, I learned a lot of valuable lessons. I would probably change the people I let scam me, like, trying to get overseas and people contacting me with fake contracts or fake itineraries or fake flights. But I think everything I've been through from not knowing about AAU to the experience with Syracuse to coming to Morgan Pass first and changing. I think all of those, made me who I am. So I wouldn't change that at all, I would just change some of the heartbreaks. Like I would change maybe having 12 points in a championship game and maybe having 20 so we win and go to the tournament. Like I would try to change stuff for the better. Not so much to kind of redirect my life, but I mean, there's nothing I can pinpoint that I would change in my career. I would probably change certain people passing away if I could. Like my coach from Morgan, he passed away 2017. Like the young
Rest in
lady I
peace.
mentioned, Tracy Carrington, she passed away 2018. Because those are two people who are kind of the first people to come to mind when I think about Baltimore. Like I came to Baltimore because of Coach Beasley. Like, and then I mentor Baltimore, like Tracy, and helping her, you know, throughout her career. And, you know, both of them are gone. So that would be something I would change, but that's not necessarily my career. That's post-career and
So good. Yeah.
just wanting them to be around. But everything I've been through, I'm still here. So I wouldn't change it because those are lessons that I can pass on. Those are the lessons that made the book. Like, those are what made me me. So, you know, those events have led me to opportunities that have led me to where I am now. So I wouldn't change anything. I would just probably try to keep a couple more people around that, you know, I would like to share this new life with.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, we're going to get into our top five. All
I'm not
right.
so
All
good
right.
at these, but let's do it.
Yeah, they said this is some of the hardest part. This is actually the hardest part of the show, but I think you're going to breeze right through this, right? We're going to talk about the top 5 people you played against. Top five people you played against.
Piff, Renee Taylor, I ain't gonna front. This is like Jackie Robinson, 3rd grade. Richard Campbell. He didn't play high school ball or anything like that, but he was the best in that whole league. This is like, Sharni Zoll.
Okay.
She got the job at Penn State. She played at UVA. I played against her in Poland. I'm thinking matchup wise. One more.
Yep.
Top 5. I guess we go Tina Charles.
Okay.
I didn't really have to guard her too much, but she was punching my stuff a couple times here and there. So we got Tina, Piff, Renee, Richie from JRC, and Shawnee Zoll. That's not a bad 5.
Not at all. Still trying to get Epiphany and Tina Charles to be on the show. Renee actually nominated you along with a few other people. So that's real. All right.
That's what's up.
Top 5 people you played with.
Top 5 people I played with. Renee. Renee again. What's her last name? Let me look up her last name.
Okay.
Her name is Waltia Roll. She went to North Carolina. She was the first female to get drafted to the WNBA from the Bahamas.
Wow.
I played with her in Bulgaria, walking double. She like 6'8". I could just throw it up. Lady Comfort. She's from Florida. She played at Temple. We won a championship together in Portugal.
Her name was Lady Comfort?
Her real name is Lady. Like, that's her first name. Is Lady, and her last name is Comfort.
That's hard.
Dope name.
That's
name.
hard.
Like,
that's
I'm
hard
like, oh,
right
your parents
there.
is crazy.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's hard right there. Yeah.
But she played at Temple. She got drafted too. Played overseas. Let me see. High school. There's a girl named Lee. I can't think of her last name. We played together in Romania. She was just a walking bucket. Like, she was tough. That was back in my summer basketball days. We won a lot of championships in New York. But we just knew, like, we had that chemistry that you couldn't top. Like one play, we was in Nike swoosh. My sneaker fell off. We on a fast break. She pick up my sneaker. I'm still going. She throw me the sneaker. I throw her the ball. She get a bucket. Like, we was just in sync. Like,
who has that footage right there?
I don't know if anybody got that.
That would have went viral. If somebody caught that back in the days.
Back then that would have been the overtime for sure. Back then,
yes.
for sure. And then Monet Johnson is actually my favorite person to play with besides Renee. I recruited her to play with me in Bosnia, but she's somebody who want to grab every rebound, run the floor, catch on my oops, catch on my passes. Like, we had some fun together. But those are some personal favorites. Nikki Avery, I played with her in Greece, but we always played together in the summer.
Yes, definitely.
I got one against too. I got one more for against Marita Reed. She's somebody, like, she was like, she do everything. So I like to play with her, but against her was a nightmare because she don't get tired. Like, she just go hard. She went to Miami too. She played with Renee at Miami. I played against her in Poland. I played against her in West Fork. But she was always tough. But I like playing with her as well. But yeah,
you're breaking all the rules, Tiny. You breaking all the rules. It's only 5. It's only 5. But
I'm sorry. It's a time for Rita.
It's so
Rita
good.
different.
It's all good.
Yeah, Rita different. But yeah, I mean, the old heads.
That's it. That's it. Because you're gonna start naming people, and people gonna be calling the top 10 now, right?
Yeah,
last one. Your top 5 New York City ball players all time, male or female?
All time.
Yes.
Say it again. Renee, Stas, Malcolm Grant, Piff. Need one more. Sean Armand. That's my favorite player right now overseas. Sean Armand.
Okay.
Iona. He tough. That's my guy. Like, I usually just make drills from his highlight tapes for my guys. Like, he's tough. That's my favorite
what high
player
school
right
is
now.
he from?
I got one more. I'm sorry. One more. Jordan Park.
Okay.
Steve Burt. Damn. I gotta
Told you to find. It's hard. It's hard
I'm
to get
sorry.
that 5, right?
Jordan Park, Steve Burt.
Talk about Steve Burt Jr. or Steve Burt Sr.
Junior. I didn't get to watch Senior, but Junior, that's my guy. Walking bucket.
Senior was a real bucket.
Let me see what high school Sean Armand went to. He went to Iona for college. But the thing about it was, like, I think he played probably B division or something. Like, he was under the radar, and then after Iona, he really just went crazy.
Yeah, a lot of guys and girls who usually under the radar during their high school years, and later on, as they the years progress, they get better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the 2 finalists for the OBL, Zach Rands, who didn't have a great college career, but he beat out some guys who had better college careers and went to better college than him. And then the guy who won it, Isaiah Leaky Roof Brown, he had.
I never even heard of the school he went to.
Yeah.
It's called Jacqueline K. Onassis.
Oh, Jacqueline K. Onassis, yes. John F. Kennedy Wife School.
Because it was Class B, B, PSAL.
Right.
But then he went to Iona and turned up, and then he played in Turkey and all these good places. But he's tough. Jordan Parks, that's one of my favorite pros. Jordan transferred 4 or 5 schools, but he another HBCU product, doing his thing in Italy. He just He does everything: defense, score, block, dunk, shoot. Like he's just a complete player. And then Steve Burke, he a bucket. Like he
Yes.
about 38 right now, still going. He in DR right now, still averaging 30. Like him and Renee, they still getting buckets at their big age. But those are some favorites where like no matter what, like I'll go see them play, I'll support them, whatever the case may be. And then if I go WNBA, you got Erica Wheeler. I just like her story. I actually met her through Renee, but she's somebody that I'm definitely happy to see being successful. She started out in Puerto Rico, worked her way up to the WNBA. Now she's just doing her thing. So then, got Teresa Weatherspoon, got Becky Hammond. It's a lot of hoopers out here. But my all-time
y'all
favorite.
See that? Do y'all see this?
All-time.
Hold on. Did y'all see this? Right? Tiny is definitely bullying her way to a top 10.
I'm breaking it all.
Go ahead.
All-time favorite is Allen Iverson. That was who I watched when I was coming up.
What was it about his game that we all know, but what was it stuck out to you?
So I related to his size, always being on the floor, his heart, never backing down from a challenge, and just being shifty and so creative. Is just like, yo, you really can't stop him unless he just is off. Like, so that was kind of the style of play I emulated and wanted to be like. Like I wanted to be like AI, somebody who flashy, stylish, had a big heart, 4 7 times, get up 8. Like that was just the type of player that I wanted to be like, because we had a lot of similarities. He also was looked at as like the underdog, and people doubted him. So that was somebody that I looked to for inspiration, but also who I tried to model my game after. I even was getting the braids and everything together like him. Like that was somebody that
I saw it during your younger years.
Yeah,
you could just tell, you definitely had the flair for that.
That's my guy. And then like all time, like coming up, it was AI and Teaspoon and Becky Hammond. And then, right now, I told you a couple of my guys, but it's a lot of hoopers out here, so sometimes you got, add some asterisks. We did 5A, 5B, 5C.
Listen, it's hard for me to get into like the LeBron James is like the GOAT talk, because it's not to knock LeBron. He's accomplished some amazing things. But when you bring up guys like Allen Iverson, who didn't play with any All-Stars and took his team to the championship, those are the kind of players who I looked at, right? Like players like yourself who didn't play with all the talent. You kind of made your way and made your bones on your own, being probably the best player on your team. Whereas other guys like LeBron, and it's not to knock LeBron, we talk about the new age players who like to go play with the best, have like 4 or 5 All-Stars in your team, and then they consider you the GOAT, past Michael Jordan and past Kobe Bryant and past Allen Iverson, which is hard for me to kind of comprehend. So
yeah, I get you. I mean, the move to the Heat and KD's move to the Warriors, it took some time for me to really respect it. But like I said, I have been in situations where I was able to play with a lot of great players, and it's just fun. Like when I'm playing with Renee and Nikki and Mo and Piff and all those people at the same time, you can't help but enjoy it. But I think there's a certain thin line that you got to straddle when you do stuff like that. So, it wasn't as frowned upon when, Garnett and them went to the Celtics and all of that good stuff. But when it's just blatant,
we frowned a little bit, but people don't brag about them. Right.
When it's just blatant like that, it's like, it's kind of whack, because it's like, yo, like I want to beat those guys. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand, like, sometimes
this is why the kids now.
Older.
But this is why the kids now, they're mixy. They want to go with this AAU team. And if they lose it, they want to go to this year too. Could they win
like
it?
The lack of loyalty.
Jumping right into the transfer portal because you're not happy, right? It's just a lot of going on. So look, more power to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To each his own, you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like, you
That's
just
right.
gotta let it rock. But
That's right.
it's a different time now.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we was able to make this happen.
For sure.
We're going into the summer right now, so we're going to be going into our season 4, and I'll be putting up season 3 because we're in season 3 right now. And it was such a pleasure to hear your story, hear all the success you had, and your inspiration. So you keep making us proud and keep striving to be the best that you could be, because it's only going to get better from here.
Most definitely. Once again, thank you for having me. I'm very appreciative to be here. Keep doing your thing, keep spreading the word, keep sharing these stories. Best of luck to you. And, I hope everything goes well with this and anything else you're working on. And, it's all love on this side. So we're going to definitely do the exchange. And, like I said, thank you for having me. And, this was great. I enjoyed this. And, I was kind of tired, but, we had a good conversation. I'm going to run this back and watch it and send it to my grandma. And, whatever else you need, just let me know. We locked in.
All right, will do. All right, you take care, and I'll be in contact soon.
For sure. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Wow. What an amazing story. See, New York City basketball is so rich in tradition. You never know what kind of story you're going to get. And when we get someone who didn't know too much about playing high school basketball, she started books before the ball, but when the ball caught up, turned into a beast. And as she went on to college, she started to set her goals higher to become one of the best. And now, being the top scorer, top assists and steals, and 13th in rebounding at 5'5", only legendary. For you kids out there, never give up on your dreams. Never sell yourself short. And even when you're short in height, that don't mean you have to be short in stature. Always think big, because you never know. You could play like a giant, like Coach Corin Tiny Adams, New York City great. James Madison legend and Morgan State University Hall of Fame inductee, and now assistant coach at Loyola University in Maryland. Well, we're about to get out of here. I'm about to sign off. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads live, because we are the official home for New York City basketball. Let me show that merch again. See that merch? See that? Yeah. See that logo right there? This is what we do. Peace.